me some food, Lord, from the sweet pot. And y'all, it did taste so good, I just could not stop. I asked for much, oh, I just want it now. Oh, darling, keep looking, peeping, until I see stop. I answer for too much, oh, girl, I just want it now. Oh, darling, keep looking, peeping, peeping, looking, until I see stop. It was you I saw at the rake and scrape. You was looking sweeter, girl, than the food I ate. We started to dance, Lord, put on a show. But when the clock hit 12, you had to go. I asked for much, oh, I just want it now, Lord. Oh, darling, keep rake and scraping until I say stop. Oh, I asked for too much, sweet girl, I just want it now. Oh, darling, keep rake and scrape and raking until I say stop. We talk on the phone long after dark. I told you I hold your hand, take a walk in the park. I never get fresh with you, never do you wrong. Oh girl, I won't be with you my whole life long. I answer for much, oh, I just want it now, Lord. Oh darling, keep moaning, groaning until I say stop. Oh, I answer for too much, sweet girl, I just want it now. Oh darling, keep moaning, groaning, groaning, moaning until I say stop. Now that you are with me, all the time does fly. It seemed like just yesterday when our love first started. And though we are growing old, you still have my heart. And should even heaven call, I'll be where you are, man. Oh, I just want it now, Lord. Oh, darling, keep rake and scraping until I say stop. Oh, I'm greedy for too much. Sweet girl, I just want it now. Oh, darling, keep rake and scrape and raking until I say stop. Da 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 dee dee dee. Na 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 dee. Na 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 dee. Na 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 dee. Na 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 na. Na 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 dee. Na 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 dee. Na 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 dee. Na na dee. Na 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 dee. Na na. I answer you for too much. Oh Lord, I just want enough. Oh darling, keep moving, grooving until I say stop. Enough. I'm greedy for much. I could satisfy with enough love. Oh darling, keep moaning, groaning until I say stop. I asking you for too much. Oh Lord, I just want enough. Oh darling, just giddy up until I say stop, 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 stop. Enough could never be too much. Oh darling, keep moaning, groaning until I say stop. Na 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 dee dee dee. Na 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 dee. Na 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 dee. Na 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 dee. Na na. I ask for much. Oh, I just want enough, Lord. Oh, darling, keep rake and scraping until I say stop. Oh, I'm greedy for too much. Sweet girl, I just want enough. Oh, darling, keep rake and scrape and raking until I say stop.
A pretty lady down the street one day. Here's what she had.
Tonight, an officer questioned regarding a recent murder. We've got that story. Also, the Bahamas Public Union threatens industrial action. And later, grocers refusing to comply. Eyewitness News starts.
Eyewitness News is linked up by BTC. Whether it's chatting, gaming, content creating, or working smart to get things done, link up to stay connected with BTC.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Janae Noel. Thanks so much for joining us. Topping news Tonight, a police officer has reportedly been arrested in connection to a murder. Eyewitness News understands that the corporal was arrested at the South Streets Magistrates Court complex in connection to the Saturday murder of a passport officer, Jason Whitfield. Now, according to police, around 7 in the morning, officers found the man inside a government-owned vehicle in the Garden Hills area with gunshot wounds. When EMS arrived on scene, they pronounced the man, who was believed to be in the age of 35 and 45, dead. That homicide bringing the country's total for the year to 122 and the third highest in the decade. It's a developing story, and for more on this, you can log on to our website, ewnews.com. Meantime, in more news from the FTX debacle, committee chair for the United States House of Financial Services, Maxine Waters, calling for the disgraced former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried to testify at the committee's hearing on December 13th. The hearing will be looking into the collapse of FTX, whose headquarters is located here in the Bahamas. Now, Waters took to Twitter and said that they would allow him to participate in their hearing next week, and his willingness to talk to the public will also help the company's customers and investors and others. However, he's replied and said that he's still reviewing how FTX collapsed and would present his findings to the committee once he understood the company's downfall. Now, since the company filed for bankruptcy last month, he's appeared on a number of interviews for international news stations. Government officials responding tonight to claims that local grocers have not adjusted their prices to the price control list that was amended last month. It's an act which authorities say is against the law, and they will not pay a blind eye to it. Our Jose Etienne is on this story tonight.
2 months after the Davis administration implemented an amended price control list in an effort to help soften the blow of inflation on consumers, media reports suggest that there are some grocers that allegedly still have yet to comply with that updated list. But Economics Affairs Minister Michael Eleuthera says government has a zero tolerance for those who fail to follow the law.
Notwithstanding, you have some operators who say they can change the prices with the flip of a switch. Not all can do that, and so we sought to be reasonable and lenient in terms of allowing a transition period. But what we cannot abide is an outright defiance and an assertion that, they will not comply with the law.
This comes as SuperValue Food Chain's chief Rupert Roberts claims that their discompliance is a result of government not responding to their counterproposal sent in weeks ago. Well, here's Eleuthera's response.
There are no negotiations that will hold up the amendments. The amendments to the regulations are in place. We put them in place October 17th. We had some discussions with the retail grocers and retail pharmacists, but we had discussions with the retail grocers where they expressed some concerns. We went back and we made some adjustments. We increased some margins to account for perishables and to account for family island transportation. We thought that was a reasonable concession to some of the concerns that they raised. And so, for all intents and purposes, the amendments are in place and we expect them to be respected.
Meanwhile, price control officers continuing their routine checks amid claims that grocers are ignoring the new price control regime. Eyewitness News stopped at SuperValue's Golden Gates location where several price control officers were conducting their inspections. And while they cannot confirm if local operators are not complying, they assert that investigations will follow.
Just here, basically, we do this on an everyday basis, so it's not a particular out of range what we're doing. We do this every single day to every store, and so that is why we're here today, and we're just here to enforce the law and ensure that everything what is supposed to be done is being done.
Eleuthera is also responding to store operators who claim that government is being one-sided as it relates to the price control regime.
This is margin added on top of the cost. So it's not that we're instructing people to sell at a loss. What we're saying is you establish your cost and there's this margin on top of it. And so we think our position is entirely reasonable.
Several weeks ago, members of the Bahamas Pharmaceutical Association protested outside of the office of the Prime Minister after not complying with the new price control list, claiming that government did not respond to their proposal. But since then, they were able to reach a win-win agreement. Now, amid reports that some grocers refuse to comply, Eleuthera says government will enforce the law.
First of all, where any violations are suspected, there is an investigation that can be commenced. penalties under the law for failure to cooperate in an investigation in terms of providing documentation, appearing before the commission. There are penalties, fine not exceeding $2,500, imprisonment of up to 6 months. Where someone is convicted of violations, there are penalties under the law, $5,000 fine, up to 12 months imprisonment, and this extends in the case of corporate entities to directors.
Jose Etienne, Eyewitness News.
Well, some water relief for residents on Eleuthera tonight as a new reverse osmosis unit was transported to central Eleuthera to help to alleviate the water challenges there. This much after officials from the Water and Sewage Corporation hand-delivered water bottles to residents as they continue to be plagued with supply disruptions. Now, Chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation, Sylvanus Petty, along with Minister of Works and Utilities, Alfred Sayers, had mobilized the new unit that was originally set for North Eleuthera to be transported to Central Eleuthera's naval base. Eyewitness News also expected to be on the ground in Eleuthera later this week and will continue to update this story. Meantime, over in Great Harbour Cay, residents on that island dealing with a major fire that broke out on the island that has no fire truck. Eyewitness News receiving notice late this afternoon of the structural fire, leaving residents to battle the blaze. The cause is still unknown at this hour. Now, we spoke to one of those residents who says the island is not properly equipped to deal with this situation.
The young man, the people in the area, BTL is there. They're watching on, and some of them, they're putting designated water as much as possible, but hose can't contain a fire basin or the control. We need to have a fire truck because in instance that this happened, they said they had done before, but something happened with that truck and they don't know what happened. The truck just, is no longer there. So we have no truck here, and the fire is just out of control.
Meantime, the Bahamas Public Services Union tonight says they're standing ready to take action. This according to Union President Kimsley Ferguson, who tells our Devontae Hanna that he believes the government is purposely prolonging the process of signing their industrial agreement, leaving workers without what they deserve. Here's that report.
BPSU President Kimsley Ferguson accusing government of stalling the signing of the union's industrial agreement and in response is prepared to take industrial action.
It's not off the table, and it is likely that some industrial action can be foreshadowed.
In November, however, State Minister for Public Service Pia Glover-Roll was singing a different tune, revealing in an interview with Eyewitness News she was concerned with the level of negotiations, noting that at that time public service officials haven't heard from union heads.
I am very concerned that the holidays are approaching. We've negotiated in good faith. We're waiting to hear back from BPSU, of course, but the timeline is closing in on us if we are going to get our public servants their packages before the holidays.
It's rhetoric Ferguson says the union will not stand for, claiming that union execs sent a letter to the substantive minister, Fred Mitchell, revealing unionists were ready to sign the agreement this week, but have yet to receive a response. This as he is casting the blame on government for leaving the bargainers in the dark of their negotiation.
A cabinet paper was processed. Please understand that the entire cabinet of the Bahamas had to sit and have discussions on a cabinet paper and a consensus taken with a view to arriving at a decision. We are aware, and it is indeed abundantly clear, that prior to the resumption or conclusion of any negotiations, the cabinet paper was already done. So
overlooked is how Ferguson now says government has left BPSU members feeling as they believe the process has been purposely prolonged.
To be a long drawn-out process. Even to date, negotiations are still taking place with various government entities. I think the Bridge Authority would have just signed off on their agreement. That's been going on even prior to our negotiations. And currently they are still negotiating with various entities. And so it appears as if in an effort to secure what it is you want, you must take industrial action.
An emergency meeting has been called at the union's East Street South office, where Ferguson says they will discuss the way forward to ensure that members are the recipients of what they deserve. Devontae Hanna, Eyewitness News.
Meantime, the Bahamas National Alliance Trade Union Congress President Belinda Wilson firing back at the Labor Minister Keith Bell after he told reporters that he's not concerned about the rhetoric surrounding union negotiations for public servants' salary increases. Wilson, in response, says they recently met with the minister and pressed upon him the importance of his colleagues providing the Bahamas Public Services Union with the 5 industrial agreements now up for review.
So there are 5 agreements that the BPSU has, which is 1 for the public service generally, 2 the Airport Authority, 3 the University of the Bahamas, 4 the Bahamas, the public hospital authorities, and the 5th one is the Antiquities and Monuments. So there are 5 industrial agreements that Kimsley Ferguson, the president of the BPSU, was waiting to sign. I'm responding to what you said, Minister Keith Bell said. And like I said to Minister Keith Bell, and I'll say it again, you cut out the rhetoric. Tell your colleagues to cut out the rhetoric and sign the agreements with the BPSU. All of them forthwith.
Meantime, the Ministry of Education allegedly owes a pretty penny to the Bahamas Union of Teachers. Members in back pay, we learned this much as a number of teachers dwindle across the country. But President Belinda Wilson is suggesting that the ministry has some improvements to make in its Human Resources Department. Leah Cooper has more on that.
The Ministry of Education owes members of the Bahamas Union of Teachers $1.5 million in back pay, this much coming from Union President Belinda Wilson.
Some of those persons were owed now 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. When you do not pay an employee their rightful salary, that impacts their standard of living. That impacts what it is they can provide for their children. That impacts when you go into the food store where the prices are rising daily. What do you buy? It impacts their whole life.
Eyewitness News reached out to Acting Education Director Dominic McCartney-Russell, who gives this response.
The union president actually sent me a file, an email yesterday, and we're still reviewing that file, so I'm not, I can't speak to how much back pay that she spoke of that we owe.
Wilson also urges Ministry of Education officials to get newly graduated teachers sitting at home placed amid concerns raised of a teacher shortage.
I must say, though, education knows that there's a teacher shortage, but we still have teachers at home from May waiting to be placed.
Now, Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin said last week in particular that her ministry is seriously concerned about the increasing number of teachers who are opting not to be transferred to the Family Islands amid a shortage of specialty educators on those islands. Well, the union president says she doesn't 100% agree with the minister.
And I believe that the minister is using an anecdotal situation and not data-driven information. Teachers have requested to be reassigned to the Family Islands, and they've been turned down by the Department of Education. Furthermore, why would you want to go to the Family Island when, as I speak with you today, there are teachers who've been in the Family Island since August and they've not received $1 rent? So the landlord is sending voice notes to them saying, we need our money or you have to move.
Director McCartney-Russell also offers an explanation to this issue.
Yes, we do have some of our team members who have not received their rental allowance as yet, but we are assiduously working on that. So we have a manpower shortage, and so we're working on it.
And with teachers on the Family Islands experiencing those challenges, Wilson expresses concerns as experts predict a global recession commencing next year. Wilson, the government should first show that they themselves are preparing for a global recession.
The way how they're spending money, the way how they're traveling, we don't see where the government has tightened their belt. So we don't expect for them to tell teachers who are going to the Family Island, and inclusive of Grand Bahama, the nation's second city, to pull back, to tighten the belt, to decrease benefits for our teachers when the government is just spending. So the spending should be on education, which is your basic, fundamental ministry, and education. That's the foundation for your nation.
Director McCartney insists, though, that teachers need not worry about pinching pennies as their money has already been budgeted. Leah Cooper, Eyewitness News.
Meantime, the Utilities Regulation and Competition Authority, or ERCA, has fined Cable Bahamas 2.025% of its monthly reoccurring paid TV charges for 2021, this following a quality of service investigation into complaints of recurring outages, error messages, and pixelated channels. Now, the regulator noted that the investigation commenced back in July of last year and was in response to numerous complaints from customers following Cable Bahamas' price application to restructure or repackage its paid television packages in October of 2020 and January of 2021 for residential and business customers, respectively. Now, Cable Bahamas has 30 days from the issuance of the final determination and order to pay that fine, but has already indicated that it plans to launch an appeal against that decision, highlighting the adverse determination in its recently released financial statements for the year end of June 2022. Now, ERCA said in its decision that it had presented its preliminary findings to Cable Bahamas in August of this year and received response the following month. For more on this story, you can log on to our website, ewnews.com. We're just getting started in Eyewitness News tonight, but if you've got a news tip or if you've seen news in the making, call the Eye on News hotline at 397-6397. We also invite you to send your letters to the editor for publication on all of our social media platforms at eyewitnessnewsbahamas@gmail.com. And if you're watching on our Facebook or YouTube page, share your thoughts about today's stories in the comments section. We want to hear from you. So to come in Eyewitness News tonight, the culture minister weighs in on those rapidly selling Junkanoo tickets. We've got more on that story. And later, a staple vegetable is dwindling in supply. Do you have lettuce on your sandwich? We'll tell you more on that right after this break.
Sponsored by Corona. Distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
A look at your Eyewitness News gas tracker tonight. Esso $6.07, Rubis $5.87, and Shell $5.95. Welcome back. Culture Minister Mario Boleg revealing to reporters today that Junkanoo lovers may not get an up-close and personal view of the parade due to tickets being nearly sold out days before groups are expected to take on Bay Street. Boleg suggests, however, that the uptick in sales should have been expected as Junkanoo has been missing in action for nearly 3 years.
The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture is not responsible for the sale of Junkanoo tickets. That is solely the responsibility of JCNP, who is in partnership with Alive and who I think is doing a great job in allowing us to be able to purchase tickets from in the comfort of our home. And it's unfortunate that some of us had to wait till the last minute, knowing that we had 2 years hiatus of not having Junkanoo, and now it's back on. And so Bahamians knows is one of the cultural activities that they love the most. So then those persons who really did not want to miss the show after post COVID-19, then obviously we knew we'd had a quick, large amount of tickets being sold right away. I was told after the first hour of the launch on Saturday that 1,000 tickets was already sold. I was told upwards to yesterday more than 4,000 tickets had already been sold. And most of those persons would have done that online, and so they were quicker to the draw. Unfortunately, some Bahamians will not be able to purchase tickets because they would be sold out. But I think the sales are going well, and it shows the Bahamian support to watch Junkanoo.
Well, in other news tonight, local farmers responding to a shortage of lettuce here in the country. Laurentia Smith has more on that.
Have you been to your favorite restaurant lately and could not get your favorite meal with lettuce? Or have you noticed that a head of lettuce has doubled in price? Well, there may be a reason behind that. For weeks, there have been reports about a shortage of the leafy green vegetable. We went to a local farm, Bluefields, to find out if they're facing the same struggles. Co-founder of the farm, Tom Stack, was candid with us.
We've had such an excessive amount of rainfall. And generally, when we plant our winter crops, because we actually change our lettuce variety through from the summer to the winter, and with that added moisture, what that causes for us is humidity issues, which leads to disease pressure, and also it also puts bug pressure and that type of thing.
The farm sits on some 5 acres with over 30,000 feet of indoor growing and produce a number of herbs as well. Now, manager of the farm, Anton Dusim, says that on a weekly basis, they produce about 400 to 600 pounds of lettuce.
That 400 pounds, basically, it's split up in 2 days, but the Monday deliveries, that's for 200 pounds, and out of that 200 pounds, the food stores is probably get like 75 to 100 pounds for that, and that works out to like 40 to 50 supermarket cases.
It takes about 6 weeks for the lettuce to harvest, and due to the high demand, Anton admits that they have been finding themselves harvesting the vegetable at 4 weeks. But he says that they're working to get back to that 6-week mark.
The guy's supposed to see it on Tuesday, and they don't see it on this week Tuesday. That affect crops like 4 to 5 weeks down. So we always have to plan ahead in farming, and we also have to make sure seeds going in, herbs going in on time.
Stack paints the hard reality that they're facing when it comes to the demand of the vegetables by their consumers.
Fortunately, at the moment, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 p.m. at night, Anton and I are both in communication, making these hard decisions on who we can supply and who we cannot.
BAMS acknowledged that there is a shortage of the leafy green vegetable, but what are they doing about it?
Hydroponic farming. We are doubling our efforts at Andros, whereby we are growing lettuce in water. It is common around the world, but it's something new for the Bahamas. The environment is controlled. You get X amount of production, which you know at an X amount of time frame. So it's consistent.
Laurentia Smith, Eyewitness News.
Well, in other news tonight, on the heels of 2 robbers tricking the public and posing as police officers over the weekend, officials are giving some tips on how you can ensure your interaction with members of the police force are certified and also lawful. Tyler Simonet has more on this.
Police officials are urging the public to be cautious this holiday season of individuals impersonating police officers. According to police, over the weekend, 2 men were stopped on the road on their way to the airport by a gray vehicle with blue and white flashing lights. 2 armed men dressed like police officers exited the vehicle with flashlights and shotguns and proceeded to rob them of their cell phones, suitcases, and wallets. Press liaison officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings speaks to the kind of lights police vehicles are equipped with.
Only police vehicles are authorized to use emergency lights. Emergency lights are the red and blue flashing lights. No other person or persons are allowed to utilize it. And so, if members of the public are traversing the streets of New Providence in the evening when it's dark and you see someone with a blue and white light, that will not be a police vehicle. Again, police vehicles' lights are red and blue.
Skippings encourages the public that if you may be uncertain about being asked to pull over, you should call 911 or 919 and drive to the nearest police station. Additionally, she advises the public on how you can verify if someone is an officer or not.
Persons are in plain clothes and they indicate that they are a police officer. Every member of the Royal Bahamas Police Force is issued with a warrant card. And officers must produce their warrant card in the execution of their duty. On one side of the warrant card, it has a photo ID of the officer, and on the other side of that warrant card, it speaks to the rank of that particular officer. And so if someone comes to your home and you're on the inside and you want to be certain that that is police, ask them to show you the warrant card. You can look at the warrant card from through the window, or you can contact 911, 919, and you can ask them to have someone check to see if the person at your door is actually a police officer.
She also has this warning for the holiday season.
In order for crime to occur, 3 things must be present. There must be something of value, there must be a suitable target, and there must be an opportunity. Most of the crimes that we see happening in our country right now are crimes of opportunity. And it's simply because persons are not on the alert. They are not aware of their surroundings. They're shopping, and most of the times they're on their phones. And if someone is interested in robbing them or attacking them, it makes them a perfect target because they're not aware of their surroundings. And so I want to encourage members of the public, be aware.
Tyler Simonet, Eyewitness News.
Operation by police yielding some significant results as officers confiscated some 13 firearms and over 55 rounds of ammunition. 13 persons were also arrested in connection for these firearms. Last week, some 148 persons were also arrested for offenses ranging from murder, armed robbery, attempted armed robbery, stealing, housebreaking, resisting arrest, and obscene language. On to news from education tonight. Student attendance in public schools has reached a high of 95%, according to the Director of Education, Dominique McCartney-Russell. Back in June, the Minister of Education, Glennis Hannah-Martin, revealed that nearly 50% of students who were not attending classes regularly were unable to sign in to the ministry's learning management system. Now that face-to-face learning has resumed, Director McCartney-Russell says the ministry has met their goal for attendance.
Had erratic attendance at our public schools due to some children not being able to get online, lack of devices, lack of access in terms of connectivity, those kinds of issues. And of course, we put some things in place. We got support from various partners and provided the devices, etc., for our children. But more than that, we would have instituted or put in place more attendance officers. The principals would have, and their team would have conducted walkabouts. We would have had support from, various community-minded persons, a number of stakeholders.
Well, although the overall attendance is up, the director reveals that the ministry still has an issue with students attending schools sporadically, and it's an issue that they're prepared to deal with.
There are some of our children, though they are coming to school, some of them are inconsistent. For example, on a Friday, they may decide to stay home for whatever reason. And so schools, along with the school attendance officers, are working with parents, are working with other stakeholders so that those children become more consistent. You know, they have to attend school every day. They're different every day, and so we need them to attend and so we're working on those as well.
Well, still to come in Eyewitness News tonight, the road to Bay continues, and Genesis shows our Laurentia Smith how they're getting ready for war. But first, here's a check on tonight's weather forecast.
This portion of the news is brought to you by J.S. Johnson, Insurance Agents and Brokers, giving you peace of mind.
A live look outside our studios tonight on the JFK roundabout with a temperature right around 79 degrees with an expected dip to 72. This is Eyewitness News. Welcome back. Well, third out of the gate in Laurentia's great Junkanoo adventures is the Genesis Warhawks, where she attempts to master the art of ringing a cowbell. We'll see if she has what it takes.
That's the rhythmic sounds of cowbells and whistles that help compose the sweet sound of Junkanoo. Now, word on the street is that the Genesis Warhawks has one of the best bella sections in Junkanoo, and that was all the motivation I needed for this week's adventure. Deval Dean, the director of the bella section, breaks down what sets their bellas apart from other groups.
We emphasize section practice. So we get the guys together and we just go with the bells. We work with you. We are a mixed group of seasoned and new members. So with the seasoned guys helping out the new members, we get the bells turning and we go for that train. Hence, they call us the train.
Dean says that nearly 30 members makes up the Bella train. Genesis first rushed their way on to Bay nearly a decade ago, and during that time, they have captured the best music. Dean candidly says that the Bellas are the glue to the music.
The drummers, they're good, they're powerful, but you need the bells to make the cohesion work between the brass and the drummers. And just the overall music, you need the bells, the tempo, the timing, the pulse, the everything is the bells, the heart. You understand? You need the bells.
The cowbells is a unique instrument. There's the treble and the bucket bell.
So not everyone can make them. There are a few guys who make them. It's a very special skill, and they're kind of limited. You know, you can't go to a store and buy them. So you have to put in special orders, and we have to work with the guy who makes them and put in our order and get our bells custom made.
As Genesis prepare for another morning on Bay, Dean shares what he's most looking forward to.
We can't wait to get back on Bay Street, show that we are a contender in this competition. The excitement, the other groups, just Bay Street has a whole awe about it that morning of. It is just, you have to be in it to experience it. I can't even describe it. You have to be a Junkanoo, and all the Junkanoos watching this, they know that feeling. It's like a drug. That's really what keeps us going, you know. So we're just waiting to feel that hit again.
I was more than ready to learn how to ring a bell. I got a quick master class from a Junkanoo legend, Papa San, who told me that he's been ringing a bell since 1968. As the master class played out, it went left like most of my adventures. I could not leave Genesis without getting my score from Papa San.
Well, E for effort. Yeah, E for effort because at least you tried. Belling is not the easiest thing in the Junkanoo field. It's one of the hardest.
Until next time, Laurencia Smith, Eyewitness News.
Well, Laurencia, I think you should stick to the tambourines. Stay right with us. Randy Smith has the latest in sports. Good evening, Randy.
Janelle, Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Bolek today responding to criticism surrounding the Legends Walk honoring. Hear more about it coming up in Eyewitness Sports. This segment of the news is brought to you by Hennessy, the spirit of sports in the Bahamas. Good evening, everyone. I'm Randy Smith, and welcome to Eyewitness Sports. Sitting off tonight, Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Boleg speaking up today on the recent criticism surrounding the Legends Walk honoring ceremony. Several local athletes came forward earlier this week to question just what goes into the picking process.
And when I say that, the Legends Walk was made to showcase some of the Bahamians who are best at whichever sporting discipline they are. And not only who are best, but who are good. And there are some persons that has not made the Hall of Famers yet. There are some persons that has not made the Legends Walkers yet. Doesn't mean that they will not get there. But I think the decision was made by the LOC and not the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture to try and showcase those three athletes who, in my opinion, the ministry supports greatly, who were recently placed on the Legends Walk because of their success in track and field. And knowing that we were about to host the 50th anniversary of the Carifta was the reason we showcased it, some of them, and two of them being the Seeley Award winners, which is Anthony Straunt and Shawnee Miller.
And locally, the best of the best regatta returned to the Montague Foreshores after a 2-year hiatus. In Class A, the Running Tide was the overall champion, followed by the New Legend, and Ed Sky finished third. In Class B, the Susan Chase 5 won the title, followed by Ant's Nest and Old Boy, and Sassy Sue won Class C ahead of Bull Reg and H2O. And with the B3A elections all said and done, newly elected Public Relations Officer Sheldon Longley says the B3As will look to increase its profile locally through innovative steps.
To get more children involved in track and field, to get track and field back to the status where we believe it should be, the #1 sport in the country, to get more funding into the association. My job is to assist with all that. Like I said, these guys, they're going to do all the hard work, and I'm just going to promote it in a positive light.
And lastly, in baseball, an early 10-run deficit was too much for Team Bahamas to overcome as they suffered their first loss of the Caribbean Baseball Cup. Curacao outlasted the home team 12-10 in last night's finale at the Andre Rogers National Stadium. Team Bahamas will have an off day today and return to the field on Wednesday when they take on Cuba. That game is set for 7 p.m. Well, that does it for us in sports, but stay tuned. Eyewitness News continues in a moment. I'm Randy Smith. Have a great evening.
You're watching Eyewitness News.
Link up with BTC and call it one and done. Link up with BTC and call it one and done.
I'm Corval Pfeiffer. The season of giving is in full swing for our BTC team on Grand Bahama. The team just partnered with the Kiwanis Club of Freeport to assist the Red Cross with the purchasing, preparation, and distribution of nearly 100 Thanksgiving meals. And it's unanimous. Everyone agrees that absolutely nothing beats giving.
We're partnering with the Red Cross with our Meals on Wheels initiative, feeding over 100 families here in Grand Bahama. We've been doing this with the Red Cross for 12 years. In addition to the Red Cross, we've now partnered with the Kiwanis Club of Freeport. They have assisted us for the past 2 years with distribution of the meals for the families here in Grand Bahama.
BTC for us have become adopted. We've become their adopted children, and each year they would call and say that they will be partnering with us to do this. So persons have been calling from last week, inquiring as to whether or not we are having the luncheon, and I said to them, yes, we are. So on behalf of Bahamas Red Cross, the Grand Bahama branch, I would just like to say thank you to BTC for their continued support to us over these 12 years.
On behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Freeport and our president, Mr. Van Roll, we would like to thank the Red Cross and BTC as we distribute 100 meals in the community today. We anticipate many more years in the near future.
We hope this season of giving prompts you to be of some service to others in some form. And here's to creating more of the moments that move us this magical time of the year. Happy holidays, everyone. I'm Corval Pfeiffer. Be well and be back here. Next, BTC Connection.
Well, that wraps up news this Tuesday, but coming up and beyond the headlines with Shanique Miller, a full breakdown of all of today's top stories. That's coming up and beyond the headlines. It starts right after this. That does it for us here at Eyewitness News. It's certainly been a pleasure having you in our company tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Janae Noel saying good night. Be safe, everyone.
This Christmas season, stream with faster speeds. The unforgettable things we all have to see. Share every memory. Link up for Christmas. Link up with BTC. We are family.
BTC will make this festive season fun and fast with BTC's fiber internet. Sign up and BTC will give you 1 month free or go postpaid and get unlimited Facebook and WhatsApp.
Link up for Christmas. Link up with BTC.
Hey girl, what you saying? Really, ready? I ain't looking at my dress. You ready for this big party?
Party? Girl, you gonna have to change your birthday because I can't make that. After my party, I get a cough. I start having a fever, and then I even had a sore throat. I thought it was the flu. Come to find out it was COVID. Girl, I think you better get tested.
What do you do now? I can't be bothered with COVID, you know.
Girl, you know it ain't never too late to change your plans. Girl, you know they got new testing
by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Alive, still connected, still with you.
Coming up tonight, BUT President Belinda Wilson talks about the teacher shortage. Eleuthera, South Eleuthera in particular, is experiencing an economic boom, and Government High School on its way to reforming young men. We talk about that program that's happening at the Government High School coming up. It's all happening right here on Beyond the Headlines, brought to you by Alive. It's great to have you join us. The Eleuthera economy is experiencing an economic boom. Arguably, Eleuthera is now the second or strongest economy in the country. Resorts are performing well. Second homeowners are also adding to the island's overall GDP. The news gets better as areas like North Eleuthera and Harbour Island employ a great deal of the island's residents. Well, before now, this news was only a reality in North Eleuthera. But the story in South Eleuthera is changing as the economy in the South is quite encouraging. Joining us to talk about what's happening in South Eleuthera for the first time in decades is South Eleuthera Chief Councillor Philip McPhee. Mr. McPhee, thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. The news is good from South Eleuthera. I talked about a minute ago how the wheels have turned and now it's in motion. Let's talk about what's responsible for the new life in the South Eleuthera economy, in particular the Disney project and what's happening right there right now.
Well, like you say, there is a lot of employment that's going on right now. I believe Eleuthera, in fact, the whole country is experiencing full employment at this stage. I believe everybody who wants to find a job is able to find a job and work at this time. Remember, we have the Disney project that is going on right now in full force. We have the Princess Keys that is still operating.
Mr. McPhee, this is excellent. You were saying even at the same time as Disney is happening, because they're both in the same area, that Princess Keys is also bringing in a lot of cruise ships and a lot of activity as well.
Yes, and as you know, a lot of our workers, they go to Half Moon Key, because the Half Moon Key employees, they're from Eleuthera also. So we have, I believe we have full employment in the South Eleuthera area at this time.
That is amazing to hear. Did you think, because it's been so long, that any official could say that, which you just said just now, did you ever believe, well, of course you did, but did you imagine it would all come together like this in South Eleuthera?
Well, I really didn't expect to see this in my lifetime. But, looking at the prosperity that's going on right now, it's good. I said when the Disney executive was coming around Eleuthera, I said, this part of Eleuthera is like this from Christ walked the earth. And I'm sure he'll be proud to know that when he comes back again, such a development, such a change in Southern Eleuthera, and that's Bannerman, especially I'm talking about now.
And it is so wonderful to hear that, because of course I've done several stories, documentaries even, about South Eleuthera and the economy in South Eleuthera, and this was a minute ago. And the stagnant state of the economy existed for decades, and nobody could come up with the right ingredient. And now it appears as though there's a lot happening. Besides construction jobs, and please do tell us about the construction jobs that have emerged. I know, of course, you talked about Princess Keys. You said many people are even self-employed, which is so amazing to hear that for South Eleuthera. But talk about what's happening on the construction site proper, which is Disney, and how that exchange is going in terms of helping locals to develop additional skills because they're learning from the foreigners on the site.
But on the construction side, we just have access to training in several different areas, environment, rigging, every other areas that they are on the job training. Because remember now, this is a big project, and they constantly having on the job training, upgrade the training. They have a lot of expert in the area that is working with our Bahamian local. In fact, we have 80% Bahamians employed up there, 20% non-Bahamians. So we have a lot of Bahamians up there.
So it's majority Bahamians employed at Disney, which is excellent. And like you said, we know it's a multi-million-dollar project. It's obviously happening in phases, which is just really wonderful to hear and to see. About 80% employment, you said. Is it mainly men or men?
Well, what happened now, you see, the company, American Bridge, they have opened living facilities on the property that can house about 500 plus people who live there. But at this time, I believe we're up to about 300 plus living there. Come the first of the year, and then I think they'll be up to about 500 or more. So what happened there, you have a lot of employment for the maids. You have a lot of maids up there who take care of all the rooms facility. And then they have a restaurant facilities, cafeteria, that hold seats about 300 people at a time on property. So you have a lot of people working in the cafeteria. You have all Bahamian chefs, all Bahamian cooks that is in there. So there's a lot of employment for women also. And the majority of I believe we have about 2 or 3 male chefs, but the majority of people in the kitchen are females. And I think all of them from Eleuthera.
That is great to hear. Once again, we are talking about the revival of the South Eleuthera economy in particular. Eleuthera has been doing extremely well now for quite some time, but South Eleuthera is now catching on. And many people, of course, this is what they envisioned when the Disney project was announced, that Disney would be sort of this catalyst to help the South Eleuthera economy come to life again. And so we are hearing now from Chief Councillor Philip McPhee about exactly how that is taking place. And now it's full employment in the South Eleuthera area. Talk about the spin-off opportunities that people are creating and getting into as a result of that major project.
Even before I get to the spin-off, Disney is also partnered with BTDI and UP for workforce and development training ahead of the site of the operation coming to effect. So they always involved in training, trying to get the Bahamas up to date. So they're partnering with BTI and UB to train our people up there.
Well,
so
that is
going on.
Yeah, that's great to hear, because I was going to ask you, are there any training, ongoing training, etc., to prepare people not just for what is there now, but obviously the many opportunities that are going to become available as the project continues and nears completion, and obviously as it's operating. And so it's good to hear that as well. Let's shift gears. Well, the spin-off opportunities, I don't know if you can speak to that right now, because I also want to talk about real estate, other industries that are being impacted by this main project that's happening.
Well, the spin-off opportunities is great, because you find a lot of the natives now clearing down properties, building small home cottages, apartment buildings. So the real estate is good, because people are building rental properties, and every day they asking, you have people come asking to can buy property in the area now. That's how
wow!
good
So there's also an uptick in real estate sales or
yes,
interest.
Yes, even some of the foreign workers would like to buy property in the area now. So even they can see the spin-off that would come from Disney. And as you know, those folks who have rental properties for, I believe most of them were rented before. And I believe come next year, I had a talk with the manager of the construction side there. He said next year they'll be looking for more rental space in the area. So things are looking good.
Well, that is excellent to hear. I mean, I know people are listening with bated breath to take advantage of opportunities that, once again happening in this sort of resurgence of the South Eleuthera economy that's catching up to the North Eleuthera economy that's really been sort of in the doldrums for so many years. Mr. McPhee, of course, Mr. McPhee, I'm speaking with, he is the chief counselor for the South Eleuthera area. These projects must go through him. He's on top of the employment that's happening, the investments, the various small businesses that are happening, and so we are very happy to be able to speak with him and talk about that. I want to know, sir, how are residents in the small communities? You mentioned Bannerman Town, and there are many other small communities in the vicinity of the Disney project. How are they managing to maintain the authentic nature of those areas while adjusting to the increase in movement, increase in traffic?
That is of great concern to the residents. I tell you, one of the problems we have is the traffic movement. There's so much large vehicles that moving up and down the streets. And of course, they have to move up and down the street because they have to travel between the port and the project site. But I believe that, and I was glad to hear the Prime Minister say the other day that comes next year, there would be a massive roadway. I hope some of this roadway will be happening in that area because the roads are real narrow for these vehicles. So we have to be very careful. We have children and adults, and we have problems sometimes getting two cars to pass on the same street. So that's the problem. But as far as in the community itself concerned, we try to work with the management of the companies to make sure their drivers adhere to the speed limits and even below the speed limit because of the condition of the roads.
Right.
But the residents are really happy. We had to work with them because this is a real opportunity for all the people throughout the South Eleuthera area. Even the schools and the other organizations, even this coming week, Friday, the project manager is hosting, I believe it's the Rivers Bight School Primary up on the job site. Of course, they'll be protected, the children will be protected by security and chaperone. They host them up there, and this is what they host different groups come in as long as proper notice has been given, and they'll allow them to come in with the proper escort through the premises. So this is happening. But there's one thing I want to talk about, Sinead.
Yes, sir.
The problem with banking. We don't have banking facilities. The project alone, they have about 300 plus workers, and that requires that we really need another bank in South Eleuthera. We have one bank, the Bank of the Bahamas, but I don't think it's sufficient. That tells you that business must be going. They are crying that we can find a way to get another bank in the area because that's a problem.
Well, that you're right, because I remember some time back I interviewed business owners even in the north or to the further north, and they talked about banking issues. I imagine South Eleuthera is chafing even more because I don't think there ever was one there. And you mentioned that there's just one. And so I hope that somehow as this project moves forward, as obviously the economy is growing and many businesses are, as a result, coming on stream, that'll be taken care of. Has Disney committed to doing any public infrastructure work, whether it's road works, whether it's assisting with schools? I know that they accommodate groups, etc., as you said, but maybe assisting as local government is presenting certain things, maybe stepping in and continuing to be an even better corporate citizen.
Yes, we had an agreement, I believe we still have an agreement with the construction company, that is American Bridge. They volunteer their service to assist with the road work and try and get some of the streets clear because of where all the trees are growing together. And that's a big project, of course. On the highways, some of the bushes are coming together, and for them to get their big vehicle through, it sometimes is a hassle. But I think it's at the ministry level now, waiting for some approval. But the management of American Bridge, it has agreed to assist in this area.
Thank you very much, Mr. McPhee. I can imagine that you and your team have your hands full. You and your local government team have your hands full with all that's happening, including new construction, this major project, new businesses coming on stream and all of it.
Yes, we do. And I believe we are happy to have a handful with this type of business because, like you see, the South was dying so long, and to see new breath of life is breathing in the South. Makes all up. So we thank God for this opportunity. We thank God for the Disney Cruise Line that they're prepared to do this, and we hope that this business will come to perfection, and all the people of South Eleuthera, all the people of Eleuthera and through the Bahamas will benefit from this project.
Yes, sir. Mr. McPhee, listen, we will certainly catch up with you in the new year and see how things are progressing. But thank you for spending this time with us and talking about, sharing good news. This is the season for it. And man, we are so happy to bring this excellent news to you about the revival and the resurgence of the South Eleuthera economy that really has been at a standstill for so many years. And now to hear what's going on, full employment, over 80% of the employment at the Disney construction site right now are Bahamians. And Mr. McPhee says, of course, there's an increase in real estate and new purchases and new businesses and a whole lot's happening. And we're very, very happy and celebrate with the people of South Eleuthera tonight.
Yes, people of Eleuthera have a good Christmas.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Have a good Christmas because of this development that's going on.
Yes, sir. Yes, absolutely. And it's good news and we're happy to share it. Thank you very much, Philip McPhee, Chief Counsellor of South Eleuthera. Of course, we will continue to follow that development and all the good news that accompanies it. Thank you very much. This is Beyond the Headlines. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this.
Two cousins, two partners, a boy and a girl, created for themselves their own little world. The best friends
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, the government high school is putting its money where its mouth is. A facilitator of a new program from boys to promising young men has formed a program and launched it on the campus and brought together young men and students really from all aspects of life on the campus to ensure that those who maybe have lost their way can get back on track, and those who are on track can be encouraged and inspired to continue doing that. I am happy to be able to speak with some of the students in the program, as well as the facilitator of the program, Dr. Cheyenne Williams, who joins us here this evening on the show. Good evening to both of you. Hello to Sean Moss, the young chap. I called somebody that, by the way, here in the studio. And of course, Dr. Cheyenne Williams, good evening to you. It's good to see you again.
Yes, same here, Shanique.
Listen, let's just talk about this. This is amazing. You've been passionate about young men. I know there's recently, unfortunately, there was a loss of life on the government high school campus. And even before then, you thought more needs to be done, not just continue talking at the problem once it happens, but to sort of take a step ahead so that you can avoid issues like this, gang violence and other issues that creep up on a campus among teenagers before they happen. Let's just talk about this program that you've launched and now facilitate, from boys to promising young men.
Okay, thanks for having me, Shanique. From Boys to Promising Young Men has been a program that I have been designing for the past few years. And after being transferred back into the government high school, I came into an environment where I saw that we had a lot of young men lost. We had a lot of young men looking to gang violence and just fighting, and they just were not sure of what it is that their purpose is in life. So my thing was, I had already designed a program that would have been perfect for introduction for these young men. So when I came on, I spoke with the principal, who has been very supportive, principal role, and I told her about what it is that I plan to do with the young men at the school. So after letting her know this, I had asked the guidance for all of the young men that persons counted out. They saw as at-risk young men. They saw as being a part of gangs. And I asked for each one of them to come to me so I can start sessions with them, getting to feel them out, getting to know them, know their names, letting them know who I am, what I was about. And after we started that, I engaged in many conversations with them during the program and after the program. And I got their attention. I got them to look forward to something positive that they liked, and created a platform whereas they can come and be themselves. Whether it is, from whatever it is that they do, I was able to say, correct them if it was something out of the path of, being right, or whether they were doing right, and I was able to give them an encouraging word to continue to do what it is that they were doing.
So when did you launch the program, and then just talk about the impact of it? How many young men are a part of it now?
Well, currently teaching family life at the government high school. Each grade, I have a 10, 11, and 12, several 10, 11, and 12th grade class. So every one of my classes, I would have like about, say, 15, between 9 to 15 young men. So I would be impacting about 50 to 70 young men on a weekly basis at the school. And when we gather, I sit down, I make them comfortable, I speak about life, what it is that concerns you. Did you look at the news yesterday?
So it's an extension of the family life class that you've turned into this program.
Right, it's somewhat, you can say that, but at the same time, we do have our sessions outside of the classroom. But at the same time, every chance that I get to make an impact with these young men, I use it simply because not only when someone is killed, we bring in someone to speak to the young men, and we don't bring in somebody again until something happens again. So what I realize is, once we're continuing to talk to them, when we're continuing to mentor them, when we're continuing to do these things, we are able to keep their attention much longer, and we're able to have positive impact and be able to get to the mind, because that is my intention at the end of the day, to change the mindset of these young men. So that is what I'm all
But
about.
it's very important because, like you said, it was so unfortunate being on the campus. I think the day after the most recent, with the other teenager who lost his life on the campus due to violence. And to see that this program is now in play, it's really awesome. Sean, first of all, tell us about yourself. What grade are you in? And then about how this program has really, really impacted you and what about it has?
Well, I'm in the 12th grade. I had to do grade 11 over due to some circumstances, but...
The pandemic? What was happening?
No, it was the recent incident that happened at GHS. I ended up being kicked out from school, so I had to go... they wouldn't let me in any other school, so I had to end up coming back to GHS and doing grade 11 over, and now I'm in the 12th grade, so... When I met Miss Williams, the program actually... she reached out to me. It wasn't I would like for you to just... try and she actually understood what I was going through, and she reaches out to a lot of boys at the school who have problematic past, who have stuff that going on, all that. She just speaks to us and encourages us to do better.
Well, Sean, I am super happy to hear this. Now, here is a transformed and a transformation that's happened. You were saying, Sean, you admitted it with your own words, you were a troubled young guy.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were kicked out of school as a result. Can you go into not the entire incident, but just a bit of what happened that caused you to be expelled?
Well, I don't really want to speak on everything, but it was involving the recent incident that
I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow. So you were part of that and ended up being expelled.
Something like that.
Okay, well, something like that sort of ish.
Yes, ma'am.
However, though, how did you change your mindset from that, even if you were just friends with the boys who were
I just stopped being around certain people and start being so, me, I was a hothead. I was quick to jump to violence. That was my number one thing. If you bother me or I see something I don't like, I just want to fight. I just on that. So I just had to change. And I moved myself from certain situations, certain people, and now I just trying to better myself. I'm on a path to destiny.
I hope you all can hear that, because sometimes it looks like these how old are you, Sean?
17.
These 17-year-olds, 18, 20-something, 15, 16-year-olds, they just, on a different level. But to hear this guy decide within himself, with the help of this program, that, you know what, if I continue down this road, it is not good. It will take me nowhere. And what future do I have? And here it is. He joined this program, was given a second chance to re-enter school at Government High, and has turned his whole life around. How is the program, what about the program has caused you to further make this decision to stay on the right path?
Well, basically, music is my talent. And when Miss Williams reached out and she was like, if anyone could rap, I was like, me? And she was like, man, I want y'all to do something for me. And I was like, let me see what this is. She was like, I would like for y'all to do a song for the school. And our principal reached out to me and she was like, she would like me to do a song for the school as well. So I was like, okay, rapping is my talent. Y'all asking me to do something I like to do. I don't mind. Then Miss Williams was like, she get all these other stuff planned out. She have us to go out. She have us to do an event coming up where other people from other schools could reach out to us and they could get into it. They can also show off their talent, stuff like that. So it was just calling.
That is really awesome. The production guys, if you want to do it right now, you can put that music in. It's an original piece that Miss Dr. Williams and Sean and the other gentleman you will meet shortly that they did. So if you want to put that in right now, we will just pause for that and then come right back.
Storm.
Okay, when good, then you do not accept it. That part of the thing that you could invest in. No elevator, you know we be stepping. We find in a
chasing my destiny, and this is the rest of me. I'm chasing my destiny, and I'm facing every problem. If they think about testing me, I pledge to become the man that God has called me to be, embracing my every calling and reaching my destiny. Cause this is the rest of me, and I'm chasing my destiny, and I'm facing every problem. If they think about testing me, yes, I took a stand. Who lent me a hand when they knock me down again and again? And I took them else only now I could win. They leave us for dead, the grave of the can. Don't worry about girls, they mostly be fans. I went from a boy to a promising man. I stood my ground and I never ran. They said that I couldn't, you see that I can. You can't be a man.
Well, that is really, really awesome, really talented. Like, what went into that, Sean? What went into producing that?
Honestly, just stuff I went through. Mostly I sit on I would find a job and relapse about past events, things that happen, things that I see around me, things that I've been through, and I would just speak on it on the beat. I have problems opening up, so I just find a beat and open up to the song.
And if I could add, Shanique, when I first met with Sean, he was in my class about 3 different occasions, and we was in the session about twice. And one day I saw him and I knew this was not Sean. That is why it is so important to know your kids. And I said to him, I said, Sean, what's the problem? There's something going on with you. And he was like, nothing, Ms. Williams, nothing, I just ain't fit. No, I said, no. And I held him back after class one day, and he sure did say to me, this was the case and that was the case. And that was my time again to mentor him and to encourage him and to tell him stay focused. It is so important as teachers and parents and as the wider community, if we would only look at these young men for what they can be. Do not look at them as they are
and what
now.
What they may be doing right then
yes,
at that moment.
don't look at that. Do not look at it. The Bible tells us foolishness is in the heart of the child, but the rod of correction driveth away. Do not look at these children and judge their future on what you see. But if you could see them for what they can be, you would be opening up a world of prosperous young men. And that has always been my thing. I always want to look at them as what they can be in life.
That is so amazing. I want you to know, Dr. Williams, you are doing to hear Sean's story out of his own mouth, the fact that he was on the wrong path. The fact that Sean, did you see a future? Were you even thinking at that time that, man, hold on, if I continue like this, truly where am I going to end up? Did that cross your mind any time?
Honestly, not so much. I wasn't really thinking about the future. I was just thinking about the present, like what's going on now, not what'll happen if I keep doing this, what'll happen if I hang around this person, or what'll happen if I do this or do that. It wasn't on my mind at that time.
So it was truly her reaching out to you, having conversations with you, and then getting you involved in this program that caused you to really kind of sort of analyze your life and where you were headed.
Yes,
That again, Dr. Williams, I don't know if you plan on pushing for this to maybe be a national effort, but it certainly needs to be, because that right there is your testimony.
I have actually reached out with a copy of the program, the entire program, to the acting director of education. I have given it to her. I have had numerous amounts of reference letters from past principals, from past vice principal, HOD, writing on my behalf on how well and successful my programs are. Even my principal writing on my behalf, and she's saying that, this program needs to be extended. And like I always express, like I expressed to the director, we need to share it in the other high schools. It's not gonna work just keeping it at government high. We have to venture out into the other high schools.
And eventually perhaps outside of the schools,
Yes.
to reach other troubled young
Yes.
men. Well, listen, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, the deputy head boy of the government high school is here. I'm wondering what his story is and how his life has been changed as a result of this program, from boys to promising young men. We're gonna continue right after this on Beyond the Headlines. Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. We are so happy this segment to be continuing our conversation on a program at the Government High School that's been launched this semester, talking about from boys to promising young men. And it's really awesome. It's been having a major impact and success already. You saw in the last segment Sean Moss, a 17-year-old, who talked about, listen, the way his life was transformed and turned around. He was on the wrong path. He was hanging with the wrong people, not necessarily maybe involved, but hanging with the wrong people. And as a result, had his entire school career affected because of that, expelled and even. And then he was given a second chance. And then he came into contact with Dr. Cheyenne Williams. And then he was inducted into that program that I just talked about. And the rest is history. He's planning to go abroad and study culinary arts and do whatever. Hey, it's so awesome. And so welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Dr. Cheyenne Williams, the facilitator of that program at the Government High School, is here. And also Caleb Johnson, deputy head boy at the Government High School. Caleb, thank you for being here as well. Welcome to the show. Did you too have a past that you had to sort of be rehabilitated from?
Yes, ma'am, I did. My past was a little different though. My past was where I was, before I came to Government High School, I wasn't where Sean was, but I was battling a lot, mentally, physically, a lot was going on in the home, and it was really taking a toll on me to the point where I wasn't really on the school run. I was just going to school. I was stuck in classes, and I always... So you were going basically to get out of the home, but not really interested in school? Yeah, I just was there. You could basically say I was just existing in school. I was just, whatever happened, I was there. I was fighting, same thing, stuck in classes, regular. And I come from a Christian background. So if I started to stray, my mommy would start to, well, what's going on? Everything okay? And I was like, yeah, good, but knowing deep down inside I wasn't good. And I had an encounter, a long story, I had an encounter. And I had a conversation. I wanted to finally try this God thing because, like I said, I was always from a Christian background, but I was just doing it for tradition. I was just, let me just go to church because mommy said go. Let me just do this. But I finally said, let me see what this is about. And I did that. And I started to develop. I started to get serious. I started to go to class. Slowly but surely, I made my way up to where I am now. I started to hang around the right people. And I started to see that as I did it, the same people who was around me wanted to do the same thing. Awesome. So you became a student leader before you became a student leader. Yes, ma'am. Because you started influencing others to want to take a different path. Yes, ma'am. And I've always been cool with everybody. So, whether you do this, I never judge you because I know where I'm from, we don't judge. We simply accept you for who you are. We accept you for how you are. Whether you do drugs, whatever it is, we accept you. We don't disgrace you. We don't push you to the side. We welcome you in and we nurture you. That's how we've always been. That's how we've been raised. And I came to Government High School, just me and me. And one day, my friend, Sean, he came to me and he was like, hey, our teacher, Ms. Williams, I never knew who she was. But he was like, my teacher, Ms. Williams, she said she wanted, she wanted to do a song. And me, because I like, I also rap. I also make music. I'm a gospel artist. And I also do music. So when he came and he was like, well, she wanted to do a song, I was like, well, of course, if she's doing something positive. You don't find a lot of people in schools focusing on young men. They just look at us and like they said earlier, they just judge us and for how we look and they push us to the side and they leave that there. But she was willing to make that step, to take the time. To listen to you all, to talk to you all first, then listen to what you had to say. Yes, ma'am. She was willing to see who we were, to find out more about us. She was willing to take the time out of her busy schedule to sit each of us down and to see, well, what's going on so she could fully understand us. So when she came to me with the idea of the song and starting the club, I got to feel that she was genuine about it. And from then I was on board 100%. That is amazing, Caleb. I mean, to hear you and both Sean at the Government High School as a part of this program with Dr. Williams, it is so encouraging and inspiring because oftentimes, truly, people tend to overlook
You all, how old are you, Caleb, by the way?
I'm 17 as well.
You're also 17.
Yes, ma'am.
And the reason being is because you give this image of not caring about what somebody else has to say. And maybe people, even teachers, are turned off by it and decide that, you know what, they're just here to put in whatever hours and to leave because they can't change you all or help influence the change in you all. But you are saying the fact that she took her time, that made all the difference. And you change, obviously, your life before the program, but getting into the program, how has it further enhanced and strengthened your resolve to do the best for you?
Honestly, it has helped me because even us student leaders, young leaders, we also need reassurance because the environment we in, you see everybody doing one thing and if you are not strong enough, you could start to stray back. So going to Miss Williams, she would start to encourage you, stay focused. You know what you have to do. You see them doing that, you have to be the light. And they following you, believe it or not. They actually looking up to see, well, let's see what he could do. Let's see what Sean could do. Let's see if they could do the right thing or if they could do the same thing as us. And depending on what you do is basically how they're going to react because they just looking for that young male to be different, believe it or not.
How important, Caleb, is a program like this from men, from boys to promising young men? How important is it, especially on campuses like Government High School, that's had its fair share of issues in the past?
It is very important because you would see the young men walking around school, in groups of 5, 6, 7, probably 10 sometimes, and all they need is just someone to understand them. They just need somebody to be there for them, somebody they can fall on and talk to because they can't talk to their parents because their parents could be like, well, you can't talk to somebody going through the same thing. You can't. You can't get help from somebody who need help themselves. So the program is helping you and maturing you and putting you on that right direction to where you should be.
So good to hear that. It really is awesome. It feels good to hear this wonderful news because when I visited that campus some months ago, it was so sad to hear just to see the spirits of the students, boys and girls, or young boys and young girls, you know what I mean, because of what had taken place. And now to see something so promising remain on the campus. Cheyenne, is any organization helping you, anybody at all?
Well, I have reached out to the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture. When I presented him with the program, he said right off the top, I'm endorsing this. I am taking this program. I need you. I actually need you here in this ministry, and I told him for some time I've been working with the ministry with my different organizations, but this one, because of the importance
and
of
the
this
already, I mean,
yes,
the success
and
of it.
Shanique, you haven't heard anything. I have right now a young man that I started from my first years in teaching 15 years ago, just wrote a reference on my behalf. Shanique, if you hear the things this young man said, he is now a captain on a boat in Boca Raton, just got engaged, had a baby, and he's an engineer cruising the world right now.
And I want to
because
know,
of me.
Are you also partnering with the police?
Oh, definitely. I've had a conversation with Skippings,
Chief Superintendent Kristen Skippings.
Yes, and
Okay,
she
good.
has been so welcoming. She is vouched to be on board with this program, and I am just looking for the partnership between the Ministry of Youth and with the Ministry of National Security,
Very good.
represented by Chief Skippings.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Very good. Yes, that's Chief Superintendent Kristen Skippings. You know what? Congratulations to you, Dr. Williams. Congratulations. Congratulations to Sean. Congratulations to Caleb. Excellent. We will follow up and hear more success stories from that program. Thank you all very, very much for coming. Listen, if that wasn't inspiring enough, stay exactly where you are. Your Minute of Inspiration with Mount Tabor Church is straight ahead.
The Verizon Media Group, home of ILTV, Paramount Systems Limited, Eyewitness News, and Beyond